Here we are, the day after a great celebration about what man has accomplished, the 250th anniversary of our nation. A lot of fireworks last night. I saw a sign going into the Dalles where they said, I think it's something like $750 fine if you shoot fireworks inside the town, you know, and boy, you can hear them popping all around. People just can't control themselves. Don't you wish those people knew about Christ and what we have been given, what has been gloriously given to us and able to have for our future. Men who signed the Declaration of Independence knew that they were putting a target on their back to be assassinated by England, knew that they were going to probably lose everything they had, and most of them did. One of them was a guy from Delaware, and he had a certain disease, and I can't remember, it was on his face, and I can't remember what it was. And he knew that if he signed this paper saying they were going to separate from England, that the doctor that could fix him lived over there, and he would never be able to get done. Some people gave as much as they could in money and so on for this nation to be built. It's not something to be rejected and laughed at. Sadly, yesterday I saw a video of a woman who burned a flag on July 4th. How deluded people can be. Well, our subject today is a subject of fear. We're going to examine it according to what God says and how it will affect us. And this is important because God does not want us to be afraid. In fact, He says 365 times in the Bible that He does not want you to be afraid. So we shouldn't be people who live in fear. Will things happen? Perhaps. Will we have problems? Definitely. Will we be few amongst those in the world? Yes. Because it is far easier to do wrong than it is to do what's right. It requires a lot of work. Let's take a look at 2 Timothy. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Let's take a look at 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. Look what he says there. For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline. Now let's think about what he said. He's telling us, is there fear? Yes. Fear comes. Each person chooses to live in fear or in power. And whatever you fear most has no power. It is the fear that you have that has the power. A lot of times, what you fear doesn't even come to be. But it controls you and how you live. No power so effectively robs the mind of all its powers as acting and reasoning as fear. Fear can make it where you can't even think. It can make it where you can't move, even though something is coming against you. Fear can take control of you very, very easily. The spirit of timidity or the spirit of fear, you have the ability to choose that as your spirit or the spirit of power. Meaning, who are you plugged into? Now, I really like the idea of the light bulb as far as us being people. And the light bulb is made of glass and metal parts and today plastic parts and all of this. And then there's the cord. But what you're plugged into gives the light bulb the opportunity to glow. If you're plugged into fear, the glow is weak. If you're plugged into power, the glow is bright. And so when we think about this, let's talk about how he has given us this opportunity. Now, he knew that you had the ability to fear. That's why he warned you so many times. That's why he tells you so many times to choose the power of God, the spirit of power, not the spirit of fear. Why do I fear what I fear? Perhaps it's because of past beliefs, or past experiences, or values that you think you have. You think you're less than somebody else, and so when you go to talk to them, you're afraid. You know what Solomon said about that? Said a hard-working man is worthy of the audience of kings. But you know, we kind of rank people. And if we were to run into somebody we think is a superstar or extremely wealthy or wherever it may be, we may think that we are not as much. When we think about our bank account, you know, you look at it, it says 75 cents or something like that in there. They don't even have a cent mark anymore because it's supposed to be well above that. Or maybe it's a self-concept. Maybe you have been given these ideas by your parents, your families, your experiences, things that have happened to you, and you realize, you know, other people can do this, but I cannot. One of the great American concepts is, if somebody else can do it, so can I. I was listening to a fellow who came over here for the 4th of July, and he put on, you know, many people came for the, what do you call the
World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup. I couldn't think of the first word. I couldn't think of cup. And they came over and they found that America's not such a bad place. And they love the food and the variety of places. Whereas in Europe, it's very different. One guy would say, well, if you had a good idea, something, you wouldn't tell anybody, but because they'll all put you down for it. Because nobody's going to be able to succeed over there. All they're going to be able to do is be under control of the government. Whereas we even have rights enumerated in our Constitution to say, hey, if the government's wrong, we have the right to overtake it. It's pretty different, isn't it? And we think differently. But you may have some self-concepts that are holding you back and you're walking in it, or social conditioning. You know, you look on Facebook or on TikTok or whatever, and you see what the people are eating, where they're going, and where they're vacationing. You're thinking, man, I don't have that fancy of food. I don't have that kind of a lifestyle. I can't even afford a vacation. You can have a nice staycation. maybe, but not a vacation out to the ocean or out to the museums or wherever it may be, or flying to Europe and seeing the Louvre and going through that and all that kind of stuff. Well, what is your thinking of yourself? How are you living? Are you living in the spirit of timidity? Or are you living in the spirit of power? And here's the problem. Power requires being courageous. Courage doesn't happen when you have all the answers. It happens when you're ready to face the questions that you have been avoiding your whole life. You know, there's a lot of people that I've talked to that said they've gone out to take tests for their particular job. And the first time they failed, and it just belittled them. And they know they knew the stuff. In fact, I was listening to about the electrical code the other day, and this guy said, if you're going to take the electric test, you better pay attention because they have worded the questions in such a way, even though it's an open book test, you can't find the answers in the 4 minutes you're going to be allotted for that particular question. And if you put down what you normally do in the field, you'll lose. You'll fail. Or maybe you want to be a teacher and you go out to teach a particular field and you go into that class to take that test and you fail and you say, my goodness, am I not good enough? But the reality is, I've heard that they give you the test and make it so hard so that when you finally succeed, you'll be ready for the role you're going to accomplish. And here's the same thing. We come into life, we don't know what's going on. We don't understand why people hurt us the way they do. We don't know what they're thinking. Let me tell you something. Some people act as if they know exactly what you're thinking. And they can't possibly know. They can't possibly know because they didn't grow up with your situation. They didn't grow up with your teaching and all that. They don't know what you think of them when you look at them. You may look down upon them, and yet you just simply had some gas or something. And they don't realize that. And all of a sudden they built this concept and idea about themselves, or they automatically think that what you're thinking is bad about them. There's an old saying goes like this. Let me see if I can remember. It's old. I am not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Did you catch that? I'm what I think you think I am, and I don't know what you're thinking. So here's the thing. For you to be able to accomplish life, you have to have courage. It has to be something that you do. Here's what John Wayne said. Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. I like that. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but you know you're going to have to go and do it. It's a scary thing to go into battle. And every single day is a battle. It's a battle between you and the world. It's a battle in your mind. And let me tell you, it's a battle in your heart. What you hold dear to you. You can remember things people said bad about you for years and years and years, and you can't remember things people say good about you. Isn't that amazing? And And you'll see people go and look at a post that they put on, or a celebrity has done something, maybe sang a song or whatever, and they'll go down and look at all the accolades, and they run across one that's bad. And they remember that. And here they are, the people up there performing. You know, John Wayne was a little different. He didn't have any hair on top of his head, and the movies thought he needed to have hair, so they put a toupee on. Well, people come meet him in public. He didn't have the toupee. He didn't care. It was the people who filmed him who cared. And sometimes you'll see him take his hat off, and he kind of moves a little weird because he's got a toupee on there. You don't work that hat off, and there's no hair. Power requires being bold and courageous. Here's the thing. Are you courageous enough to be God's man and to not think so badly about yourself? Don't believe all the stuff you've been given. It's trash. Don't hold on to it. Throw it away. Listen to what God says. You have been given the spirit of power, not the spirit of timidity or fear. Let's turn over to Deuteronomy 31. My Bible, for some reason, automatically opens to Proverbs and to Deuteronomy 31. Now, it won't this time, of course. Oh, yeah, there it is. Exactly. Deuteronomy 31, verse 6. See what it said. I think, okay, there it is. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Did you hear what he said? What he said was, being afraid deteriorates into terror. Some people like to go to a movie to get scared. I don't understand that myself. It's like riding a roller coaster. No thanks. I'll drive in traffic, but I won't do that. Let's take a look at what happens to your body when you have anxiety. And anxiety is just a light fear. Anxiety is actually an imagined negative future. Listen to what he says here. And what it says here, you have a tight chest, shallow breathing, racing heart, difficulty sleeping, trembling, sweating, tense shoulders, neck and back, nausea, stomach aches and diarrhea. I'm sorry. The kind word is, I can't remember, forgot again. Headaches. What about the psychological? You get intrusive thinking, unwelcome, and accusatory thoughts come to your brain. Ruminating, meaning repeating thoughts and stories and ideas over and over and over. What do? You go back and you play those same things where people have hurt you in the past, and those people may not even be alive today, and you're still keeping it going. Isn't that amazing? Or feeling a sense of impending danger, of panic, or doom. Constant comparison. You compare yourself to others. Indecisiveness, difficulty concentrating. Or your behavior, avoidance of anxiety-induced situations. I'm not going in there. I'm not going to go talk to those people. I'm not going to tell them what I know, including avoiding people, touch, media, books, or other triggers. Isolation and withdrawal, I just rather stay home. There was a prediction given back when, it was back probably 30, 40 years ago. And there was this woman, she was looked at society and predicted how society is going to go. And she said, and her name was Popcorn, I can't remember her first name. I remember that last name. And she said that cocooning is coming. In other words, I'd rather stay home. I don't want to go to the mall. I don't want to go to the grocery store. And what do we see today? You just order it, and it'll come to your door. Or you don't have to worry about coming to the door. You just drive up. You don't even get out of your car at the grocery store. You just push a button, your back end flies open. Well, the back end of the car flies open. They put your stuff in there, say thank you. You push the button, it closes. You don't have to see anybody. You drive home and unload it. Cocoon. Restlessness and agitation. Irritability, easily startled. Judy? Obsessive or compulsive behavior. These are the symptoms of fear. In fact, I was listening to a guy and he says, look, you can train all these things, but if you become afraid, it's in self-defense. He says you can't do it. You can't do it unless you stay in control. If you stay in control, then you can watch where their hands go, make the right moves. But if you're afraid, you won't be able to defend yourself no matter how much you train. Isn't that interesting? If you're afraid of being cut, you're never going to be able to fight somebody with a knife. So we have to look at what happens to us when we are afraid. Excessive worrying, restlessness, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, irritability, muscle tensions, sleep disturbances. Did you know that if the adrenaline starts pumping, you get a dry mouth, you won't even hardly be able to talk or move. So being afraid is not in your best interest, because being afraid deteriorates into terror. Social anxiety disorder symptoms: sweating, blushing, rapid heartbeat, trembling, shortness of breath, muscle tension, self-psychiatric exertion. Yeah, that's not. Okay, nature of stomach, nausea or stomach upset. So these are the things that happen to you when you're afraid. When you have power, do you have that? No. Everything functions well. Everything functions right. Being strong requires being courageous. Have the courage to say no about things. People come up and ask you something, you know it's going to cost you, maybe your time, maybe your effort, maybe you got to be with them and you don't like them. Have the courage to say no. Have the courage to face the truth. Do the right thing because it is right to do. These are the magic keys to living your life with integrity. Integrity. One of the keys of a Christian. We're going to make our yes be yes and our no, no. If we don't want to do it, or we're not going to really put forth the effort or the money, don't say yes. Don't say, yes, I'll be there at 7 and show up at 7:30. It is rude. It is wrong. If you couldn't get up the courage to begin, if you could get up the courage to begin, you also have the courage to succeed. You remember when you first got married? How excited you were? You couldn't wait for the day. I mean, you couldn't wait. And all of a sudden, there's the day, and if you're a man, you're standing up front of your woman, you're walking down the aisle. Oh, did you notice that the man wears the same thing to a wedding as he wears to a funeral? You know why? Because he isn't changing who he is. But the woman wears a brilliant gown because she's changing from being a girl or a woman to a wife. The man's got responsibility he has to carry all his life, all the way to the grave. But if you had the power to start that marriage, you also have the courage to succeed in that marriage. If you have the power to start a business, you have the courage to succeed in a business. If you have the power to start it, which you do, then continue on. And that means you have to be courageous every step of the way. And sometimes it means you have to study and learn more things for you to be able to move forward in your area of expertise. Even in your area as a Christian, you have to have power. And how do you get it? You get it by knowing who God is. Now look, this is courage versus bravery. I couldn't figure out how to separate that up for you. I'll just read to you. Courage is the mental, moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, and difficulty. Bravery is a quality that allows someone to do these things. You may not have those qualities, but you can develop them. Courage is required to face painful, grievous, difficult, and dangerous situations. Bravery, mainly required in dangerous situations. Courage does not imply physical danger. It could be mental danger. It could be emotional danger. You can't let your emotions drive who you are. They are not just you. And we get a lot of those from the past. Bravery implies that there is physical danger. But that's a good look at how we can be courageous, how we can have bravery. Remember, God says He always goes with you. He goes with you always. What does that mean? He's there. God will go before you, walk beside you, and stand behind you. I am with you always, He says. And listen, God cannot lie. So He tells you, be strong and be courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that? If you don't believe it, you'll live in the spirit of timidity. If you believe it, you'll live in the spirit of power. May God be above you to bless you, below you to support you, before you to guide you, behind you to protect you, beside you to comfort you, inside you to give you strength and joy. And let me tell you, God cannot lie. So believe what He has said. Now tonight, we're going to talk about being grateful, because you have more than you can imagine. All right, let's talk about our last, John chapter 14, verse 27, where He tells us, Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Look what he's saying to us again. He's giving us peace. The knowledge of God and what he has told you to do in every situation brings peace to your mind. Knowing the mind of God is not about uncovering every secret of the universe, but growing in his wisdom, holiness, and deeper relationship with him. Though God's ways are higher than ours, he has made himself known through his word, his spirit, and his son. You have every single thing you need to be able to know God, to be able to have the peace when everything seems like it's falling apart. When you lose all your money and the bills are coming in, when you're hurting and you're going through pain, understand God's right there with you. And you should have peace knowing that your heart is with him as well. Make sure you understand that. Change the mindset of your heart. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Mind, heart, yes. You need to change your mindset of how your heart thinks. What is important to you? What do you feel about yourself? How do you think about yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you believe what you believe? Your attitude, your behavior, your actions, your results, and your performance are all tied together in a cyclical fashion. If your attitude is not one of a person of power because of God, your behavior will be weak. Your solution or your action that you thought would be right is not right. And the results are poor, meaning your performance is poor. So, change your mindset of the heart. Why the heart? Look what it says here in Luke 6. A good man out of the good treasure of heart bringeth forth that which is good. An evil man out of the evil treasures of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. Did you hear that? What you hold most dear comes out in you in your daily life. When you think poorly of yourself, God did not make you that way. He created you with a spirit of power. He created you the ability to faithfully follow him. He gave you everything you need to know about him here in this word. So, never let fear consume you. It doesn't stay the way it is. To become anxious means you're going to have panic attacks, which means it's going to get worse and worse and deteriorate into terror, being afraid to even leave your home, or to meet anybody, or to eat anything, because you're afraid of the germs it will have. Let me tell you, we can't live in fear. We are people of God. Do not let fear take hold of you. Fear is a seed that once planted in your mind never stops growing. So rip it out. Plant the seeds of God. Make sure that what you have is power, not fear. Fear is from Satan, not God. If God gave you the spirit of power and not the spirit of timidity, where did the spirit of timidity come from? From Satan. Don't act like you're less. I'm not saying push other people over and say, get out of the way, I'm standing here. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about have power in who you are. Never let your fear decide your future. Live a life according to God. Live the best life you can have because you are God's children. So, remember this picture? Where the guy was looking for diamonds and he got tired and wore out. That is fear. See this guy on top? He's a steady going. I mean, he's just hammering away. That is power. And that diamond, that's heaven. Don't forget who you are and how to live. Don't live in fear. Live for God. If you're not right with God, now's the time. Make sure that you are with Him, for Him, faithful to Him, and consider what He wants more important than what you want. If you've not been baptized, you haven't died to yourself, repented of your sins, and been baptized by being buried in a watery grave of baptism and resurrected, you're not the child of God. No matter what man says. But when you come out of that water, you have gone through the adoption process, and God has put His name on you. Live like you are His. With His power, He is always with you. If you're not right, now's the time. Come as we stand and sing together.